Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about the Twitter situation. Twitter being forced to upcharge for super follows. What? We're going to talk about what could be the beginning of the end for Twitter, because a lot of people who use Twitter don't like to pay for anything. And people are already leaving Twitter in droves, especially after the election. People were leaving Twitter before that. In December, there were reports out there about how Twitter revenue and usage had declined, that people are not using Twitter as much as they used to, at least not real people. Twitter has become, and we talk about it often, mostly an activist platform, mostly a platform for journalists, and mostly a platform for woke companies to virtue signal. And now we're going to start charging people for perks. So this isn't going to go well at all. In fact, RIP Twitter started trending right after they made this announcement. So how much more are they going to start charging people for? And how much will Twitter's audience put up with? Again, a lot of people using Twitter don't like to pay for anything. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. Guys, we're over 179,000 followers on YouTube. We do not have that many followers on Twitter. We actually don't have that many followers on Twitter because Twitter is not an ideal place for people like us, I think. Not anymore. About 5-10 years ago, Twitter was actually pretty cool. It was just funny cat videos and artwork, and what the hell. We know what happened. So this is coming from The Verge. Twitter announces paid super follows to let you charge for tweets. It's also planning a groups feature. It sounds an awful lot like Facebook or Patreon or some other things that are charging. We said before, if they start charging for tweets, they probably would weed out a lot of the toxicity on Twitter. So they got to do something. Nobody's using it. Nobody's paying to advertise on it. It's a garbage platform. So here we go from The Verge. Twitter announced a pair of big upcoming features today. The ability for users to charge their followers for access to additional content. Again, it's like a Patreon type thing. And the ability to create and join groups based around specific interests. They're two of the more substantial changes to Twitter in a while, but they also fit snugly into models that have been popular and successful on other social platforms, well, including YouTube. They've got memberships, and you can do members-only posts. Again, a lot of that came from Patreon. The payment feature called Super Follows will allow Twitter users to charge followers and give them access to extra content. What kind of extra content could people possibly post on Twitter that people would be willing to pay for? That could be bonus tweets, access to a community group, a subscription to a newsletter, or a badge indicating your support. In a mock-up screenshot, Twitter showed an example where a user charges $4.99 a month to receive a series of perks. Twitter sees it as a way to let creators and publishers get paid directly by their fans. Everybody else has already done this, and frankly, more effectively. I like how their image here, the very first thing they show is a hashtag for social justice, and then crazy for cats. Love that. Direct payment tools have become increasingly important for creators, in particular in recent years, mostly used for spicy content, I might add. Patreon has been hugely successful, again, mostly for spicy content, I may add. And other platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and GitHub, have all launched direct creator payment features. Twitter will presumably take a cut. Of course they will. The company has been hinting at subscriptions features that would offer it a new source of revenue, though it doesn't appear to have said what that fee will be yet. Twitter announced a new feature called Communities, which appears to be its take on something like Facebook groups. People can create and join groups around specific interests like cats or plants or social justice, the very first thing on the list here. Twitter suggests allowing them to see more tweets focused on those topics. Groups have been a huge success for Facebook and a huge moderation problem too. And they could be particularly helpful on Twitter since the service's open-ended nature can make it difficult for new users to get started on the platform. You know what makes it really difficult to get started on the platform? When you say hello and you get dogpiled by a bunch of activists. That's what makes it difficult to get into the platform. All the normal people, all the normies, they left Twitter a long time ago. Twitter is not a platform for normies. It's a platform, again, for activists, journalists, people working in professional capacities, companies looking to get woke points. That is what Twitter is for. Twitter is for Portland. No timeline for when it's going to launch. Probably the sooner the better, because Twitter is not doing well, especially after the election. A lot of people left. Now, the creation of, or the announcement of these features led to the creation of the hashtag RIP Twitter. So let's go see what people are saying about this. And Twitter's actually, even though it was trending, they didn't have their little spiel where they usually show at the top what people are saying about it. They're not, because they don't want to announce their own death, I guess, on Twitter. Here's Gary from Nerdrotic. He says, Twitter announces super follows to let you charge for tweets. Twitter may have come up with a solution to stop cancel culture by killing itself. RIP Twitter. Twitter thinks I'm going to pay to read other people's tweets. We got some laughing. All we wanted was an edit button. Yeah, that's it. Literally for years, pretty much since day one, people were asking for the ability to edit on Twitter. So now I can't fix my typos, but you can pay to read them. RIP Twitter. Love y'all, but I ain't paying to vibe with you. RIP Twitter. Soon you will have to pay to read my shit. Enjoy it while it lasts. Who the F am I kidding? Anyways, we're about to find out who the real stands are. Okay, so here we got the, edit button, Twitter, OnlyFans. There we go. Forget that super Twitter garbage. You can count on me to always post my nudes for free. RIP Twitter. Do you want to see how fast I can block somebody? Try and charge me for viewing your damn tweets. RIP Twitter. This is not going to go over well, Twitter. So they're taking the most toxic part of Facebook, the part largely responsible for the spread of hate and misinformation on the internet, that probably groups, and they're doing it here. RIP Twitter. Nobody thinks this is a good idea. RIP Twitter is trending, so I guess my job is done here. Dear Twitter, thanks for caring more about squeezing money out of people than giving us an edit button. So people are like, look, I'm sending people to my coffee account. They can tip over there. Nobody likes this idea. Thanks, Twitter. I always wanted a Twitter and OnlyFans collab. Me when someone posts super follower content, slamming the door in their face. Not think about charging us for tweets, but all we ever wanted was an upgrade to edit the tweets. Twitter letting people charge to see content. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Twitter. Yeah, it's not gonna work out, guys. This is probably another blow to the platform. People are leaving Twitter in droves for various reasons. It's not all political. Some of it's just that it's a garbage platform. It's not very effective, and you don't reach real people on Twitter. Real, everyday people, for the most part, do not use Twitter. They were driven away by a bunch of people coming over from Tumblr, and maybe we should all just go back to Tumblr. We've been talking about that. Go back to Tumblr. Maybe Tumblr is not as toxic now. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.